because I read the statistics of you actually getting a show, just even one show or even a pilot, is like getting the first round draft selected for the NFL. So there's no way.
From Rise High, this is Why Not Me, a show about Kama'aina creators, entrepreneurs, and community leaders. Behind the scenes stories of how they got to where they are and the valuable lessons they learned along the way. I'm your host, Gabe Ame, and this week we sit down with Michelle Jaime, the co-founder and creative director of award-winning interior design firm, the Vanguard Theory, and host of the HGTV show, Aloha Builds. In 2009, the U.S. economy was in a recession, Michelle was jobless and trying to figure out her next move. Hear how in 10 short years, she was able to kickstart her career and create one of the most sought-after interior design firms in Hawaii. Welcome to the show, Michelle. How you doing?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good. Just got out of the water.
Just got to take advantage of those waves where you can.
Yeah.
So definitely want to ask you more about Vanguard Theory and, the incredible work that you've been doing. And for those of you who are not familiar, Vanguard Theory was in charge of all the exterior ground floor space of the Surfjack Hotel, right? And the restaurant, Mahina and Sons, which if you ever gone there, it's a pretty sick space. So, you got much kudos for that project, but you also making names with this TV show, Aloha Builds, which I want to talk about.
That's funny.
But first thing I want to know is I want to know the history, the story, the name, the Vanguard Theory. I feel like it's got some kind of magical element behind it. That
I know, isn't it it's a funny name. I think when we picked the name, we didn't want to sound like such a big firm because everyone was doing and associates or like somebody's first initials, and it just didn't have any personality to it. So we really wanted something that was kind of representative of designers, and we didn't want to make it sound like an attorney's firm, which a lot of people get confused with other design companies. And we really fell in love with the word Vanguard because we wanted to be considered the new guard in interior design or in design in Hawaii. But we weren't really there yet, so that's why the name Theory. So, and we also wanted to be this band of individuals, so not just by ourselves, but like this collective of vanguards together. So that's the name, the Vanguard Theory.
Well, this year you're celebrating 10 years, and I think you can probably drop the name Theory because it's more fact now with all the kudos you guys have been getting from your work, your past work.
Thanks.
But I heard a little bit of your story, and it started off kind of on a bummer note in 2009, right? 2008 when we were all going through really a recession, right? We had the credit crisis. There was a recession. And there are obviously a lot of layoffs. You want to talk about how that even got started?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of reflective of these times right now. And I think the best time to start somewhere is when you have, we've got nothing. So we had really nothing to lose when we started the Vanguard Theory. I had just gotten laid off from another design firm. And it was such a bummer because I really loved working there and we had such great projects. But that's what happened all over the place. Like nobody had jobs. And I worked independently for a while, designing hotels for other companies. And then a friend and I got together and decided that there was a space for us to start interior design company here. Because everybody was just kind of these larger companies doing big hotels, like flagship hotels. And nobody was doing what we wanted to do, which was highly creative, smaller projects. And we felt that there's a niche for that, there's a need for that. But there was no opportunity. So we used the time to really develop our skill and then take things one at a time. And we fortunately, got our break when we did the Surfjack, and it went from there.
How did the whole conversation around the Surfjack start? Do you recall?
Yeah, I remember. So at the time, we did a couple of projects. We did actually pretty big projects that nobody really cared about. When we got the opportunity to do the Surfjack, it was like our first opportunity that we got to do the public spaces, and we didn't have a lot under our belt individually as a company.
Yep.
We really pressed hard on doing something that told a different local story. It was about like Honolulu today. Though like we fell in love with the era that the building was built, which was in mid-century. So we kind of went with that. But during that time, there were so many amazing things in Hawaii that story really wasn't being told in Waikiki. So what we decided is to really tell that story and then bring in local creatives to kind of help us tell that story. So it wasn't just coming from our point of view.
Yeah.
And we had to manage like more than 20 artists to come help us do that. But our client really trusted us and believed in us. And I think how it came to be is our client really, really like leaning in and letting us tell our story.
You know, you would go, so, you know, you grew up in Hawaii, right? You think Waikiki and you think just a bunch of tourists. It's just, all these hotels are just for tourists, right? It's just typical, right? Whether it's mainland tourists or Japanese, right? And just
it wasn't for locals.
For them. Yeah, it wasn't for locals. And then you would go to the Surfjack, and it was, you know, it's not on Kalakaua, it's on Kuhio, right? It's in Lures. It's in a place that typically we probably wouldn't have even thought to go. And it had such a cool vibe, you know, like the whole, you just walk in there, you can tell it was a cool spot. Rightfully so. You guys got a lot of great recognition, and I believe Gold Key nomination or award, was it?
Yeah, we got the Gold Key Award, which, okay, it was a long shot. So, I mean, people all over the world, you know, try to go for this award. And we thought, I mean, it was such like a long shot, this like little hotel in Honolulu, Waikiki.
And this is a national, it's a national award.
Yeah, this is like a hospitality award, and a lot of people from all over the world enter, and we won the thing. And I was tap dancing around the office like, oh my gosh. And it was such a shock. I mean, I think that I actually almost forgot that we were entered into the awards, because I think I was like, there's no way. But it was pretty amazing that we won. I mean, I went alone to the gala because I didn't think that we were going to win.
Right. Oh, it was a surprise. Like you go and like the finalists go and they announce it. Oh yeah.
In New York City. Yeah.
You're like,
and then
don't waste your money paying for your tickets. I'm just going to show face and go home. That's what you're thinking, right? Oh, that's awesome. So after winning that award, did things change for you? Did the phone start ringing? You get more emails? What is there anything different? What's up with that?
No, I know. I think it was kind of funny because we were on this high, and you know, I think we get some interest in especially the local community. I think fell in love with this space, and that was cool for actually to see my parents and my friends to see what I actually do, because people had no idea what I actually did.
Yeah.
To see that, get that recognition was really cool for my friends and family. That's what matters the most, right?
Totally.
And then I think we had some interest with some potential new clients, but the phones really didn't start ringing, and I think it was because I know it's because a lot of the owners of hotels and clients are not from Hawaii, and they might as well think we're like, you know, in China. And so they just thought that we were this remote design company that, you know, really wasn't part of sitting around the table.
Boutique stuff. Yeah.
You know, and I think I'm still kind of trying to work ourselves out of that, of that mentality that people think that we might as well be on the other side of the world. And that we're not part of the United States. So, yeah, no,
I know you're I'm passionate about that, because not just in the design firm world, like in anything, right? Any kind of occupation, or any kind of, whether it's art or you know, just coming up with creative ideas. Sometimes it's hard for people in Hawaii to kind of get the recognition, because you kind of get brushed aside that you know, island folk, you know, I don't know if they, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, and also like to get taken seriously, as a business person, a lot of people have to, or even as talent, you have to go away to the mainland or elsewhere to work, and then get that experience and come back. And it's kind of a shame that happens, because even people in Hawaii don't really take you seriously until you have works outside of Hawaii. So
right. Well, I think you're doing a lot to change that mentality and perspective. So
thanks.
But I'm gonna go back, way back, and I thought this was a funny story I heard from you, was your first inklings of gravitating towards design and interior spaces, and I guess just design in general, right? Architecture in general. So there's a couple moments when you're very young that you can kind of draw back to. So you want to recall some of those stories?
I don't remember there being like a moment where the stars aligned and I was like, interior design, because I didn't grow up around people who were architects and interior designers. I didn't know those things existed. But when we grew up, for a short period of time, my dad, my stepmom, my brother, and I would live in a van, and it was like a fun time of our lives, because we'd sleep at the beach and sleep at my grandma's house and friends' houses and stuff. But this VW van would overheat a lot. So and we would like go from Hawaii Kai and go visit my grandma and grandpa in Whitmore Village. And we had to let the VW kind of cool off, or it would overheat. So right around like Mililani area, we come down the hill, and then sometimes you couldn't make it back up the hill, and we'd be on the freeway just cruising. Or sometimes my dad would pull off to Mililani, and all the model homes were being built. Those neighborhoods were being built. So while Betsy Blue kind of cooled off, my dad let David and I run around the model homes. And these were just like, to us, beautiful homes. And David and I would imagine which room was ours, and which house was ours. So I think it was kind of my first time really understanding what houses could look like beyond our situation. And the other part where I got exposed to beautiful houses was my dad. To make ends meet, he was a housekeeper. And he would pick my brother and I up after school. And sometimes he wasn't done with his route, so he would take us to some of the houses that he'd clean in Kahala. And these were just like gorgeous houses. I remember my dad just cleaning these people's houses, and I would peek into their rooms and see the kids' rooms especially. And I was just in awe at the spaces that people lived in. So it wasn't that I experienced these beautiful places living in them. It's just that I was an observer, and I fell in love.
So you mentioned your brother, David Jaime, very talented himself. And David does a lot of work with construction and design as well. And he was the one that hustled you into being a part of this show, Aloha Builds.
That guy.
So why don't you tell me the beginning part of how Aloha Builds got started with your brother?
Well, okay, so this is being on TV was not in the cards, at least that I thought for myself. It was not anything that I think that I wanted to do. I wanted to be considered a serious designer.
Yeah, of course.
So TV designers were not serious designers to me. But my brother, 2 years before we actually started the show, wanted to have a show and pitch the idea to local TV stations, and he produced it himself, because David's like that. He could just do whatever he wants to do, figure it out. And I said no, because there's no way I would do that. No way. And about a year and a half, 2 years later, David calls me and he says that he's been scouted by a production company to do a design build show, and and he needs a partner, because all those shows on HGTV either have like a brother and brother, a husband and wife. There's always a couple, and David needed me. And I was like, if I said no, David would be so mad at me for the rest of his life, because he like 2 years ago he wanted this. I'm gonna say no again, and it's actually a real thing. So I said yes to the interview, because I read the statistics of you actually getting a show, just even one show or even a pilot, is like getting the first round draft selected for the NFL. So there's no way.
Yeah.
And I just kept saying yes, thinking there's no way. And I guess, you know, we got picked, and they picked us up for not only the pilot, but 13 episodes, which was shocking to everybody. And I was like, what?
You see, there's a theme there that you're always thinking. You're looking at the statistics. Am I going to get picked for this award, this Gold Key Award? There's no way it happens, right? Are we gonna be able to pull off this show? There's no way. It's not gonna happen, and it happens. So,
but the thing is, I show up. I just show up. I'll do it. I'll show up, and I don't think it's gonna happen. Like, I really don't. And then it happens. I'm like, oh, but can I just have that luck? Yeah. Like when I go to Vegas, when it opens up, please.
Hey, yeah, you're retiring early if that's the case. Then so.
I know.
So Aloha Builds. So you signed up for 13 episodes. And what was that experience like? So you got a brother and sister combo, both very talented, creative, design, construction, everything. And so what came out of that? What'd you learn from it?
Oh, and both hard-headed. David and I.
I think that makes it for even a better show, right?
Oh yeah, no, you know what? They did a really good job making us look like we play well together. No, I'm just kidding. We did. At first it was really tough because David and I work separately all the time, and so I have my vision, he has his. So it was really our first time working together, and we had to learn how to play nice, which was
a lot of compromises, huh?
A lot of compromises, and that was good. It was good. I think what I learned about myself is that I can work way harder than I ever thought I could work. You know, working 2 full-time jobs. I'm owning my business as an entrepreneur, doing hotel work, and doing this full-time business of being on TV. So it was really challenging for me. But I think what I loved most about being on the show was to see people's reactions when they walk through the door of the house. That doesn't happen in real life. Like, there's no like, okay, I'm going to trust you and I'm going to walk the door. I don't know what's happening. And to see people so thankful and grateful that it got done and it looks that way was probably the most rewarding part of being on the show. You know, it got us to be recognized as a family unit, which is kind of cool. You know, I think, and even my younger brother, Davin, was on the show. And Davin's a coming up, like, really good furniture builder. And it's really cool to now see that we're getting respected individually for our work, but as a Jaime family, it's pretty cool.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. What I want to do here is I'm going to go and I want to jump over to, I want to flashback to old Instagram posts on Vanguard Theory's Instagram page.
Yeah, I remember this one, kind of.
So cool. So first off, the pool. I mean, I know you worked with Matthew Tapia, right?
Matt Tapia did the bottom of this pool, which was really cool.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it was good.
No, so one of the cool things about mid-century design is this idea of the pool courtyard. And we didn't want to alter the pool because from every room, lanai, looking down, you see this pool. So we thought this is a great moment to send a message to the guest. And, I always look for sightlines for artwork, and this was the best sightline. So, we worked with our branding team, which was wall to wall, to figure out what to put on the bottom of the pool. And Matt Tapia was the artist. And what's crazy is that Matt has never done this before. He's never painted on the bottom of the pool.
It was tile, right? Is it painted tile?
It was painted tile. Now it's tiled in. But it was, at the time, our budget allowed us just to paint the tile. And Matt's never done that before, and we had to use epoxy. And what was crazy is the window of time that he needed to do it, because construction, of course, was lagging behind. It's an old building, things happen. But opening date was just right there. So the window that he had to do it was really, really small. And I remember this day, he had his sons helping him, and it was really cool. And it just starts pouring.
Oh, wow.
It starts pouring, and the epoxy needs to cure for 3 days at minimum. And so my old business partner runs to Home Depot to grab giant tarp, and all the contractors stop what they're doing and sees the pool just getting worked, and everyone stops what they're doing and puts the huge tarp over the pool.
Wow.
And it was it was, I think, the coolest part of all the artwork in the public spaces.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, we'll show a blown up version of it. It says "Wish You Were Here," right? And I feel like that this went viral, right? I mean, a lot of different national publications picked it up, and it was a kind of a viral thing, and obviously you get recognized by Vogue magazine here, right?
Yeah, and what's funny is that we kind of became branded as the millennial designers in the millennial hotel, which that was never our goal. It was just, no one was doing really cool artwork like this in their hotels. And if it was, it was very controlled. It was like, okay, I want it to look this way and in this space. And then for all the artwork in the public spaces, we just gave each of the artists our brand deck, for the colors and the furniture and all that, and just kind of gave them the story about what the hotel should be like. And then they pitched us some of their ideas of artwork, and we kind of worked with them on the details, but it was really their story, and it wasn't like I was telling them exactly what to do.
All right, we're moving on to the speed round questions, right? So the first question, anytime I ask a question,
speed round,
boom, 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 we're gonna do it quick. Whatever pops into your head, just blurt it out. Ready?
Okay.
Last book you read?
Uneducated.
Last movie you watched?
Oh, was it called The Lovebirds on Netflix?
What's your favorite way to relax?
Surf.
I knew you were gonna say that. If you can learn any new skill, what would it be?
I would be a beekeeper.
Wait, I need to know. Wait. What's up with this? What's the backstory?
I don't know. I am fascinated by being a beekeeper. I have never even done anything with bees before, but I want to get in a moon suit and like harvest some honey. And I want my own bees. I was like in New Zealand, and I was every like twist and turn you see people have the boxes, and I was just like long to be a beekeeper after that.
If you could name one person that you feel that gave you design inspiration, who'd that be?
Design inspiration. It would be my stepdad. My stepdad, he fortunately passed away, but I helped him go and get all his chemo treatments and radiation and stuff. So being in those hospital rooms, I realized the importance of design. Like how it actually has an impact on your emotions and your well-being and your outlook about your treatment. So I think, I think being with him really taught me about the importance of design.
Okay, last one, right? What's the best piece of advice that you have for any high school student, college student from Hawaii, graduating, and they're trying to figure out in the world today?
Don't be afraid to speak up. I think, especially in Hawaii, you have this idea that you have to be sit on the edges of the room. You don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable, and you're really unsure of yourself. So I think really speak up and talk about what you're thinking about. Don't be afraid to share. Be
vulnerable, right? I think be vulnerable and put yourself out there. And I feel like that's kind of exactly what you did with, number one, starting Vanguard Theory. That was a potential risky situation, which you could get a lot of criticism if it doesn't work out, but you made it work. And it sounds like you did the same thing with being on the show Aloha Builds, right? I know you didn't want to do it at first, but you did it, and it all worked out well. So,
I think what I learned about all of it was that you never know what it's going to lead to. Like if you say no to things, I mean, there's a power of saying no, but if you say no to everything, nothing's going to happen in your life, because you can't control everything that's going to happen to your life. But if you say yes, you never know what that's going to lead to. Like, I thought, I worked in restaurants for like so much of my life, and I thought that I wasn't doing anything with my life. But come to think about it, I mean, I worked in restaurants, I worked in retail, I dishwashed, I did everything that I thought wasn't amounting to much, but now I'm designing those spaces. And had I not done that, I would not have the experience and understand the flow of a restaurant. So it all leads to something.
Try everything and see what build all kind of skills and see what happens, and you can you can tie it all together into your masterpiece in the end. And that seems like that's exactly what you're doing now. So wishing you best of luck and continued success with Vanguard Theory. And like I said, you might have to drop the theory pretty soon, for what you guys are doing. But very inspirational story, and I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks, Gabe.
Why not me? So right on, Michelle, and I'll see you soon, all right?
Yeah, thank you.
All right.